You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Today is Monday, 29th day of September 2025. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first live broadcast, that's our live training room. So that broadcast is reserved for members only and those who are taking their 1-week free trial. If you've not yet taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us in about an hour, he'll walk you through step by step. It'll take you all of 3 minutes. We'll get your indicators up and indicating today, and your trial will run all the way through next Monday. You get 5 consecutive trading days, and the weekend does not count against you. So you get signed up today, your trial officially starts tomorrow. And you're not just getting access to the live training room. We actually treat you as if you were already a member, full-fledged passport holder for 5 consecutive trading days. So at the end of the trial, you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not trading is right for you. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways you can join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com, scroll down to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, about an hour before this broadcast starts, you'll get an email. In the email, there's a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it'll automatically log you into our platform. The benefit there is you'll have access to the question box so that you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there'll be days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, but you still want to join live. And there'll be days when you're busy, so you can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember, youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. But all you have to remember is youtube.com/CFRN. Now, this is our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. And by the way, Not only do we broadcast live each and every day on our YouTube channel, we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,900 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. So this is the schedule for each afternoon broadcast. Michael will join us about 1 p.m. Eastern, or roughly an hour from now. He'll give us a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room and do a little live trading on the TradingView platform. But let's jump into our daily devotional. We started a new topic last week. We're now in day 3. Context matters. New Testament backgrounds. We've all heard scriptures preached different ways or taken out of context. Whenever you hear a preacher use a particular scripture as the cornerstone of the sermon, if he doesn't do it, I encourage you to do it. Read a couple verses before and a couple verses after. Now, that will help to put things in context. But even better, maybe grab yourself a Strong's Concordance, which you can access for free online. So that you get the proper context. Because anything out of context, whether it's biblical or secular, can completely change the meaning of everything. And that's not what we want to do. Today's scriptures, Romans 10, verses 9 through 13. And I'll share it from the NIV translation. If you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord, and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For it is with your heart that you believe and are justified, and it is with your mouth that you profess your faith and are saved. As Scripture says, anyone who believes in him will never be put to shame. For there is no difference between Jew and Gentile. The same Lord is Lord of all, and richly blesses all who call on him. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Again, that was Romans 10, verses 9 through 13. So today's topic is the literary background of the New Testament. Knowing the literary background for some New Testament texts can help shed light on theology. For example, the New Testament applies Old Testament statements about God to Jesus to show that Jesus was indeed God. Often the New Testament writers quoted the Old Testament directly to highlight the deity of Jesus. In Romans 10, Paul is taking a statement about God from Joel 2:32 and applies it to Jesus. He writes, if you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord, and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. New Testament writers also allude to well-known Old Testament passages. This can be seen in Philippians 2, verses 10 and 11, where Paul writes that at the name of Jesus, every knee should bow, and every tongue acknowledge that Jesus Christ is Lord. This is an allusion to Isaiah 45:23, where God speaks through his prophet. By myself I have sworn. Before me every knee will bow. By me every tongue will swear allegiance. By alluding to this passage and applying it to Jesus, Paul is equating Jesus with God. The New Testament also uses references to other non-biblical traditions to highlight that Jesus is God. In Matthew 18:20, Jesus says, "Where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there am I with them." He's likely evoking an ancient Jewish teaching that stated, when 2 or 3 are gathered for the study of God's law, there will be God's presence among them. Jesus is then claiming to be the very presence of God. You don't need to know all the historical and literary references in the New Testament to grasp its teaching that Jesus is God. But being aware of them can help illuminate Scripture and give you a fuller sense of how Jesus is the fulfillment of the Old Testament. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, we thank you for the promise that if we confess with our mouth that you are Lord and believe in our heart that God raised you from the dead, we will be saved. Thank you that everyone who calls on your name will never be put to shame. Strengthen our faith, embolden our witness, and remind us that your grace is for all people. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen, and happy Monday. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. Hope you had a great weekend. Did something exciting. All right, starting here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently the Dow is down 35 points. NASDAQ is up 123. S&P 500 is up 17. The Russell 2000 is down just over 1 point. Here we are again with the mixed markets. And breaking news, the Labor Department won't release Friday's key jobs report or any other data if there is a government shutdown. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Crude oil. Remember, we were on quite a tear with crude last week. Things have changed. Crude is down $2.40 today, trading 63.31 last. That's a drop of over 3.5%. Gold up $49.40, trading 38.57.90 last. That's a gain of well over 1.25%. Silver up 55 cents, trading 47.21 last. That's a gain of almost 1.25%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei dropped 311 points, Shanghai rose 34. The Hang Seng gained 494, almost 2%. Then the European markets at the close, FTSE up 15, the DAX up 5, the CAC up 10. Pretty quiet. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a green day for the UK, a quiet day, but a green day nonetheless. And as I mentioned, we've got a mixed Radio Monday here in the US of A. We got the NASDAQ pretty solidly in the green, 134 points. S&P, same thing, 19 points. The Dow is only in the red by 19 points, which for the Dow, it's not a lot. That would be like the S&P being down 2 points. There's like a 10-to-1 ratio between the S&P and the Dow. And the Russell is in the red by less than a point. So we could be all in the green by the end of this broadcast, or even in a few minutes. Looking at the news, an assailant targeted the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan yesterday, killing at least 4 people and wounding at least 8 others. Police identified the suspect as 40-year-old Iraq war veteran Thomas Jacob Sanford. They did not publicly disclose a motive as of this writing. The attack began just before 10:30 a.m. when the suspect drove a pickup truck adorned with American flags into the church where services were underway. He then opened fire on congregants and is believed to have set the building on fire. An unknown number of victims were believed to be trapped inside the church. After roughly 10 minutes, the assailant was killed in an exchange of gunfire with responding police officers. That attack came after a mass shooting in Southport, North Carolina, Saturday evening, where a separate combat veteran killed at least 3 people and wounded 8 others. Our thoughts and prayers are with all of those folks, their families. These tragedies just keep coming. President Trump on Saturday directed the Pentagon to send U.S. troops to Portland, Oregon. It's not yet clear which branch of the military will be deployed or when. You know, it's about time they declared Portland a terrorist city. You know, they like these sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. I think this is a terror. I lived in Portland. I remember when Portland was kind of a wild and crazy place, but everybody was just having fun. There was no violence involved. Now that goes back quite a few years into the 90s, but it's not a place I would want to live. Now, this decision comes as dozens of protesters meet regularly outside an immigration and customs enforcement facility in the city. Demonstrations have at times turned violent, with protesters charged with assault and federal agents releasing tear gas. Trump says the deployment against Antifa and other domestic terrorists is designed to protect ICE facilities, where, as a sanctuary city, local police have limited cooperation with federal immigration authorities and only intervene during protest in the event of vandalism and violence. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek. When did all of a sudden every governor, every mayor become a woman? I have nothing against women being in government and holding positions such as governor and mayor or any other position even president, if they're qualified. Just never had anybody qualified run for that position. This insanity is how long? Okay, they've sent in the troops. They've shot a little tear gas at them. Don't they have non-lethal weapons that can knock them out? Why aren't we using them? Why aren't we showing criminals that we mean business? This is ludicrous. Trump has deployed more than 6,000 National Guard troops across Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. An estimated 150 National Guard troops will be deployed this week to Memphis, Tennessee, though the total number is still in flux. And for you sports fans, Major League Baseball's postseason picture is now set. Following a thrilling conclusion that saw 2 division titles and the remaining playoff berth decided on the final day, the Cleveland Guardians and Toronto Blue Jays both won their divisions, while the Cincinnati Reds clinched the final wildcard spot over the New York Mets. The National League leading Milwaukee Brewers enter with the league's best record, 97-65, and will enjoy home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The defending champion Los Angeles Dodgers, whose star pitcher Clayton Kershaw is set to retire, will face the Cincinnati Reds in the wildcard round. Games begin tomorrow. Yesterday's games also capped a favorable season for sluggers. For just the 3rd time in history, 4 players hit at least 50 home runs. That includes Seattle's Cal Raleigh, who became the 7th player to knock 60 or more home runs in a single season. Casey at the bat. All right, let's take a look at the Wall Street news. President Trump will gather lawmakers from both parties in the Oval Office this afternoon. In fact, I don't know what time it's supposed to start. In an attempt to avert a government shutdown. But there's little clarity about whether the issues that ground talks to a halt are even on the table for discussion. One issue at the heart of the stalemate is a right that the Trump team has claimed, allowing the president to unilaterally cancel previously approved government spending. Hey, if the money that was approved, if it was approved to some fraudulent NGO, some NGO that is fostering illegal immigration or terrorist attacks in our country and other countries, should that money be clawed back? Oh, you better believe it should. I don't even know why. Why is it even a topic of discussion? That's a great question, by the way. The Democrats' position in response is that the only shutdown averting plan they will support, and their support is required in the Senate, is one that also restricts Trump's ability to cancel such spending, in part to ensure any agreement reached is actually enacted. The Democratic leaders are also pushing for various health care provisions, such as extending COVID-area health care subsidies scheduled to lapse in the months ahead. Republicans have rejected those demands out of hand, but, like the Democrats, don't have the votes at the moment for their own plan, but at least they have a plan. That's the key, which would simply extend government funding at current levels for about 7 weeks. This dynamic has made perhaps the leading question heading into today's 3 p.m. There it is. 3 p.m. Eastern White House meeting, whether any true negotiations will even take place, or whether it will simply be an exercise in power politics as each side looks for capitulation from the other. I say shut her down. Just shut it down. We've had this threat hanging over our head year after year. Democrats in office, Republicans in office. Just shut it down. See what happens. Home contract signings rose more than expected in August, a sign that lower mortgage rates may be pushing some buyers and sellers back into the market. The pending home sales index rose 4% in August from a month earlier to 74.7, according to the National Association of Realtors data released today. Economists expected a much more modest 0.4% gain. A level of 100 is equal to contract activity in 2001. So let me give you that again. The pending home sales index rose 4% in August. Economists expected a 0.4% gain. Talk about a miss. Homes usually go under contract a month or two before they are sold, and while some deals fall through during the contract period, pending home sales can be an early indication of future sales activity. The housing market is spending its third straight year in a deep slump as mortgage rates stay elevated, thank you, Jerome Powell, and prices remain high, leaving many buyers on the sidelines. So far this year, home sales are on track to hit a 30-year low. But there is some hope that falling mortgage rates could spur more activity this fall. Yeah, I wouldn't count on that. But the good news is next spring we'll be rid of Jerome Powell once and for all. And that's a good thing. The social network, which is starting to gain some steam, I guess, Blue Sky, will begin verifying users' ages in the state of Ohio to comply with new regulations starting today. The company, which offers an open and decentralized competitor to X and Threads, says it will enable the Kids Web Services age verification solution in their state. This is the same solution that Blue Sky is already using in South Dakota and Wyoming to comply with similar laws. Why would an individual state have to make Blue Sky verify age? Why wouldn't a company want to protect children? Now, the Ohio law meant to protect kids from pornography, supposedly, will require users in Ohio to upload a copy of their government-issued photo ID or other personal identification before accessing adult content. This includes the type of adult content that can be found on social networks. KWS will provide the technical infrastructure that allows Blue Sky to verify users' ages by offering multiple ways for them to do so beyond only uploading a government-issued identity document. According to its website, KWS also lets users verify by facial scans, payment cards, and more. I've heard nothing good about it, so if you find something good, let us know. I hear it's a hotbed of hatred. I've never been there. TechCrunch Disrupt 2025 happening in October 27th through the 29th of next month at San Francisco's Moscone West, brings founders, investors, and innovators together to explore the future of technology. One fireside chat you won't want to miss is with Baiju Bhatt, co-founder of Robinhood and founder and CEO of Atherflux, a U.S. aerospace company delivering energy to Earth through space solar power. He'll sit front and center on the space stage to dive into his experience transforming sectors and the challenges and opportunities along the way. If you want to attend, it's going to run you $444 for a ticket. As the co-founder of Robinhood, Bhatt helped redefine investing for over 20 million users worldwide, turning finance into a platform accessible to a new generation of new investors. His journey at Robinhood, where he also served as co-CEO and board director, taught him invaluable lessons about scaling a business, navigating regulatory complexity, and innovating under pressure. And he's the guy that forced all the other brokers to go to zero commissions on stocks. They're still going to get you on other stuff. They got to make money, right? All right. Well, enough of that. Let's take a look at Logic 247. That is our 24/7, around the clock, Emini alert service. Last week we ended up with 13% stopped out, as I believe the final number. And we had over a total of 50 logic alerts issued. Over the last 374 weeks, we have issued over 20,500 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Every logic alert has an entry price, long or short, then an initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day, and then additional targets, and then a final trade to target. Final trade to target is always the weekly trading zone above on a long and the weekly trading zone below short. The weekly zones, of course, are issued every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. The logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. Now, since the markets opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, and this morning when Valerie did the recap at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, we had issued a total of 14 alerts. At the time she did the recap, we were still waiting on the outcome of 8. Some of those may have resolved themselves by now. She will, of course, update it this afternoon, early evening, as she does each day. That gave us 6 actionable alerts, and so far, nothing has stopped out. Again, last week, I think we ended up with 13%. But over 7 years, what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out. Again, based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, 374 weeks is a very long time, as I said, over 7 years. But long before there was a Logic 247, we had our original alert service, concierge trade alerts, or the CTAs as we call them. They're different in quite a few ways. Number one, they don't come out around the clock. They're posted as a static report, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex open. As you can see, last Thursday, the Friday session began at 6 p.m. Eastern. And Wednesday, Tuesday. So the goal is to get them out 5 minutes before the Globex open each evening. But last night, I wanted to let the markets open, see if you're going to have any gaps anywhere, anything of any magnitude. It was relatively quiet. So as opposed to 5:55 p.m., last night's CTAs came 18 minutes after the Monday session began. Now today at 5 p.m. Eastern, the Monday session will end. And then 1 hour later, at 6 p.m. Eastern tonight, the Tuesday session will begin. And we'll run all the way through until 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So all of our traders and trial members had all of these targets 18 minutes after the market opened last night. The S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. So let's go look at the charts. And we shall start where we always do with the S&P 500 Emini futures, the bellwether. Now on Friday, we talked about if price could get above the black step line, the next area it would run into resistance would be at the CFMA1, which I refer to as blue and climbing, bullish, red and falling, bearish. I also said on Friday, I said if we close below the black step line, when we open Sunday night, we will most likely have red. And sure enough, that's what we got. And we ran right up to it today, 67.36. Now we backed off. We're closer to the low of the day than we are the high of the day at the moment. But, okay, we had Wednesday, the black step line acted as resistance. The daily VBC acted as support. I'm sorry, that was Thursday. Friday, we closed right up against that resistance at the step line. Last night, we opened on the other side of the step line, ran up to that newly printed red and falling, and now we backed off a bit. So how we close today, of course, will, as always, be very important. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. It's called the BBC. Stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices, as happened back on April 24th. And when price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. It's pretty simple. But as you'll notice, when price reverts to the mean or pulls back to the BBC, whether it pulls from above or up from below, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. Sometimes it'll spike it, but as long as those candles are still touching, that is a hold. So it held and it held and it held. And here's last Thursday. We came right down to it. Like we got about a tick below it. And then reverse. We had a big red candle. And then we closed probably about the middle of the candle. Okay. So we had a down day, and then we rallied about 50% of that day back up. And then Friday opened. We had a few points to the downside. See the little wick. Okay. Then we closed near the high of the session on Friday. And that's a sign of strength. So based on that, no surprise, we opened above the black step line. And so now we're trapped with resistance here at red and falling and support at the black step line. All right, let's go to the 30-minute chart. All alerts, the Logic 247 alerts, and the Concierge Trade alerts are all created on the 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes, just the time frame I chose years ago. Stuck with it. They say if it's not broke, leave it alone, so I've managed to follow that sage advice. The vertical lines that you see separate today Monday, back here's Friday, back here's Thursday. Go back scroll back further, you'll see Wednesday and Tuesday. The horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones. They're published every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. When price drops to a weekly trading zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. And when price rallies up to a weekly trading zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. Now, these are last week's zones, because any alert that goes out on Sunday night has to be based on the previous week's zones, because the new zones don't come out till Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. But once the new zones come out, now any alerts published this week, Logic or CTA, will be based on the new zones that our traders got this morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And you'll see those new zones on my chart tomorrow during the afternoon broadcast. So this was the opening candle last night. And remember, all of our traders had these CTA targets 5 minutes, or actually it was 18 minutes after the open last night. It's typically 5 minutes before the open. So it was during this first 30-minute candle. We're above the BVC. As long as we're above the BVC, we expect higher prices. And we got them. And it took us right up. Now, this was the second 30-minute candle. It opened at 67.01. So it ran up 7 points to the target, but it continued to the zone. At the zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. Only one of three things happens when price encounters a weekly zone. 70% of the time, it's consolidation. Like that, like that, like that. 20% of the time, rejection. 10% of the time, the slice. That's when a 30-minute candle slices through a zone like it's not even there. When that happens, price will typically retrace back to the zone it sliced through, then continue in the direction of the slice. So we opened last night, ran right up to the long target, got to the zone, consolidated, continued higher, okay, and we got close to last week's zone. Missed it by 2 points. Now again, these are the zones that were published last Monday morning. The new zones, they came out this morning at 6:15, and you'll see those on my charts tomorrow. But all of these, every alert issued Sunday night is always based on the previous week's zones. From here, we went into resistance. Right there. Buyers just lost interest. We got a retracement and another little rally, putting in basically a double top on the session. Blue and climbing turned to red and falling. We dropped to the BBC. The pullback holds more often than not, so we bounced up into red and falling, which is usually resistance. And resistance sent us down below the BBC. We're currently consolidating at the weekly trading zone. And when price trades through a long or short target, a CTA target, typically, if you trade through it, if you get a nice leg like this on the retracement, that target is going to, in this case, become support. We see it happen almost every day. So, here's support. Where should you look for support? Well, of course, you should look where the new zones are. You've also got an area right here. Right there where that black step line, cross blue and climbing, that's an important price, important area. So if price keeps falling, look for 66.96/97 to be potentially good support. Okay. On the Dow, this was the opening candle last night. We traded up through the zone right to the long target, which was simply based off Friday's high market structure. We consolidated for quite a few hours right at the long target, then finally broke out with a leg, a retracement, a leg, a retracement, and then we consolidated at the next zone. We got a retracement to the BBC, the pullback held, which launched us up into red and falling, which we expect to be resistance. That sent us all the way down through this zone, and when it ran out of steam, you can see it retraced back to the zone it sliced through, and then continued in the direction of the slice right down to the next zone. Now the step line is attempting to cross red and falling. See how coming down the step line and red and falling, see how they're parallel? Well, this sideways consolidation, and look where the market found support, right at the zone to the tick. And again, these are the zones published last Monday. Okay, that's the carryover effect of the zones. So if the step line manages to cross to the right side, all it takes is for us to just keep consolidating in this area. Once it crosses, look for a retracement back to the BBC. And of course, the pullback holds more often than not. So we may just see another leg back to the downside. On the Russell, here's where we opened last night. And by 8:30, we had hit the long target. This candle opened at 51, ran up 6 points. You only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. Resistance sent us back to support. It sent us back to the target a second time. Then we consolidated at the zone. Then we managed to get above the zone. And buyers just lost interest right here. 6 a.m. And as we saw with the other two indices, We rolled over, blue and climbing became red and falling. It took us down through the zone, through the target. But look here, when this move, this big candle ran out of steam, what did price do? It retraced back to the zone it sliced through, continued in the direction of the slice, and now the step line is attempting to cross red and falling. If that happens, look for a retracement to the BVC. Otherwise, you got potential support at last week's zone, these lows right here, and of course at this week's zones for those of you that have access. The NQ. Here's where we opened last night, and it was 18 minutes into the life of this candle. This candle opened at 746 and ran up basically 20 points, $20 a point, $400 per contract traded right there. Just those two candles. Actually, this one candle. Remember, it was during the life of this candle, 18 minutes into the life of this candle, that the targets went out. So you would have actually been able to enter lower. And then we consolidated at the target, ran to the zone, pulled back into the black step line, a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, a leg, and then a pullback to the VBC. Pullback hill. This is the 930 Wall Street candle. Sent us up to the zone overhead, consolidated. All four candles are touching the zone, so it held, and is now, just like the other indices, sending us lower. Got red and falling overhead. We're below the BBC. There's potential support here at this low, this low, this low, and then you're at the zone. Rude. After having quite a run up last week. I mean, look at that thing. It just about all went bye-bye. I mean, look where we were Friday afternoon. And there's a doji right at the turning point. Okay? See that? Come back to the zone. Support. And we drop below the zone. And then we opened last night with a gap lower open. The gap filled within a few hours. The pullback to the VBC held, and it sent us right down to the short target, which was based off this low on Friday. We hit the zone, or the target, caught a bounce, then continued our way down, all the way to the zone, and now we're well below the zone. Slow right here, comes in just above this area right here where the step line crossed. Buyers have stepped in, the step line is crossing. So now you look for a retracement back to this area. It's potential resistance. But really what you're looking for is a retracement back to the BBC. And again, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. Gold. This was the opening candle last night. We were below the BVC, but we got above it by the second 30-minute candle. We pulled back into the BVC, red and falling, turned to blue and climbing, and off we go. Now this candle here opened at 38.06. To the target, that's $800 per contract traded. And then we reversed back to the VVC. And again, the pullback hill. Took us all the way up to last week's highest weekly trading zone. I believe that was last week's highest weekly trading zone. I'll take a look. Yep. Obviously, this week's zones, we got a higher zone up there, but this was last week's highest weekly zone. So we got above it, and then on the pullback, it held as support. See resistance the first time, then once you get through it and you pull back, support, support. This is support times 2, because you got the weekly zone and the BBC, and now we're just off the high of the day. And last silver opened last night above the BBC. And this was the highest weekly zone last week. Now on Friday, we talked about the fact that if price gets above the highest weekly zone by close of business, we expect it to be at or below the highest weekly zone. And so look, this red candle is where we closed on Friday, below the highest weekly zone. So we danced outside of it, but by close of business Friday, we were back below it. That's how the zones have worked for 15 and a half years now, over 15 and a half years. So we opened last night and we get a little retracement, and then off we go. It only takes 2 pennies to get your goal for the day on silver. This candle opened at 76 and ran up 12 points. That's $600 per contract traded. When the market finds resistance, it's going to go look for support. And it found it at the BBC. Pullback holds more often than not. So we get a leg, get a retracement, a leg where we failed to put in a higher high, back to the top of the long target, and the BBC support times 2. Another leg, another retracement, and again, the top of the long target holds the support. And so the high of the session for silver is 47.41, and right now we're at about 47.18 roughly, 17. So there you have it, and there's now, when we started the broadcast, we had more green showing than we do now. So we're getting closer on the ES to the low of the day. Keep in mind the black step line, it was resistance on Friday. And so far, since this session opened last night, it's been support. There's your resistance right there. And there's your all-time historic high. Now Michael's going to give us a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room and do a little live trading on the TradingView platform.
You see, I was able to get in today.
Oh, good.
So that was good. I guess it just needed a good reboot.
Okay. All right, let me get this situated up here. And, yep, okay, it looks good.
All right. Well, hang on a second. Okay. All right. So if you have not taken a free trial with us, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, the 29th day of September, 2025. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial with us, did I say trial? Sound like it's a trial. Free. I'm having trouble with my R's. Free trial with us. All you have to do is go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button right there. No credit card is required for this trial. Just click on that purple button and it will bring you to this registration page. Just fill it out. Gives you your name, your email, your phone number. Down at the bottom gives you TradingView login ID. Once you do that, once you have done all of that, you will be sent everything that you need to get into the room in the morning and to get your indicators indicating. Okay. Now we had a pretty good day today. Last week, some of you may remember I was trying to get to this number by the end of the month, and we got to it this morning, so that's good. Today, on the 29th day of September 2025, we were up 140 on the NQ, 4 on the YM, 24 on the gold, and 5 on the ES. So this was the high of the day, and this was the high of the day. This was not, and this was not. But it put us at 1,022.50 on the morning session. Today it took 5 minutes and one trade to get to $1,750 with 10 contracts on. We took a total of 31 trades. So on the month now we're at $16,012. Over 20 business days. What does that put us on the year as far as monthly goes? Well, third best so far. Yeah, I doubt it's going to be any better than that. Fourth best is we would have to make over $1,500 tomorrow to beat what we had in July. But we'll go with that. We're good with it. We're up averaging $800 per day so far this morning. And on the year, we're at $200,457. That's over 167 trading days. It's 167 trading days, averaging $1,234 per contract per 2-hour trading day. So, excuse me. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so we're averaging $1,200 per day. If you're doing the 24/20 blueprint, so far this year you're up. You only worked 23 hours so far this year. 23 hours. And in those 23 hours, you would have earned $138,047. Now you'd be adding 1 contract per month. So you'd be at 9 contracts. You'd be just about finishing up the month with 9 and go to 10 on Wednesday. Or you would be going to 10 on Wednesday. I've been to 10 all year, but you would be going to 10 on Wednesday. Yeah. So you'd have $138,047 if you did it just like I did, averaging $5,989 per contract. I'm sorry, that's per contract, per hour. All right, so let's get into the actual trades. Here on the YM, not the YM, here on the gold, let's start out with the gold. Go all the way over here, all the way over here. All right, this was it. On the gold, our first trade on gold, we picked up 2 ticks. Then the next one we picked up 14 to get us up to 16. Then we had a break even, then 1 tick got us to 17, and then 7 ticks. 7 ticks? Yeah, 7 ticks got us to 24 over here. And that was it. I remember this happening at the end of the session. We had this gap right here, that really big fast move right there. I don't know why it did that, but it did. And it recovered very quickly. During the break, it looks like there was 1 long trade right here that worked out pretty well. And 1 long trade right here. That would have worked out all right. And that was it. Just 2 trades that both would have worked out during the break. Okay, now the YM, let's see. Okay, I gotta go back to the beginning here on the YM. All the way back to the beginning on the YM. And here we are. All right, so our first trade of the YM was right here. We picked up 25 ticks on our very first trade of the YM. That's that one right there. 25 ticks on that one. Then we got 5 more over here to get us to 30. Then 1 to get us to 31. And then I stopped out on this one. Now I put the orange thing on it because my stop out was way bigger than it normally would have been. My stop out would normally be 15 ticks. I think I stopped out with 23 ticks or something like that on them. 27 ticks. 28 ticks. I don't know, from 31 down to 3. So I guess it was 28 ticks. So I had a much bigger stop than I normally. I had screwed it up, and basically I had screwed it up and ended up giving me almost double the stop out that I normally would have. So that brought us down to 3. And then I got 2 ticks there to get us to 5, and then I stopped out. I put us at -10. And then I got a +12 there that got us up to 2. And plus and then break even, and then a +2 to get us up to 4. is how we ended it. And one more break even in there. That's how we ended it. Now, during the break, let's see here. During the break, we had one trade right here, one short trade right there that looks like it would have been a break even. And then here we had a nice long trade that would have worked out just fine. It was not high enough. It didn't hit the midpoint, so that would not have been a trade there. This one over here would have been a trade that would have been okay to take. I probably would have gotten a break even on though. The next one would have been this one right here. That looks like it would have stopped out probably. You might have been able to get your stop to break even. It looks like it might have gone 5 ticks, but it looks like a gap down on the open, so it probably would have been a stop out. After that, let's see. There was no trade there, no trade there. Now, the reason this was not a trade is because it was not high enough. If I blow this up, you'll see it was below the midpoint right there. This one right here was a good trade though. That would have been a valid trade that worked out. This one right here looks like it would have stopped you out to the tick. This would have been an okay trade to take. Nothing there. And this one here would have been this one here would have been okay. You'd be in that right now. You would have been out of break even with a little bit of profit right now on that. That would have been an okay trade though, because the bar before it was flat. It did come out of the overbought right there. Right there. Okay, so that'd be an okay trade to take. And be in it taking profit right now as we speak. Now on the ES, we did not have that many trades on the ES today. Oops, you can see we went right by them all right there. This is our whole morning on the ES right here. Our first trade on the ES, we picked up 4, then we picked up 8 to get us to 12, then we stopped out, put us down to 2. Then we got 1 to get us to 3, and then we got 2 to get us to 5. That was our whole day there on the ES. And this is the whole break. So during the break, it looks like none of this would have mattered because we didn't get into the oversold. All right, the next one that would have counted would have been right there. That would have been a decent trade. This one right here would have been another trade that would have been okay. For the ES, those are okay trades. This one right here would have stopped you out. Switching directions, and you didn't have anything. And that was it. So we had 2 nice trades and 1 stop out during the break. Okay, and that was the ES. Now we have the NQ. I'm going to do the control back thing on the NQ. Get us back here a little quicker. Okay, because there are a bunch of bars here on the NQ today. All right. So the NQ. Now this is where we got the goal for the day right here. We picked up 35 ticks on the first trade. Then I thought we got all 45 on that. It triggered at 45, but I had horrible slippage at both ends. And then the next one, I thought it triggered at 45 again, I thought, but we ended up with much less on that. So between the two of those, we would have had 90. We ended up with 78. And then the next one went from 78 up to 82, then 82 up to 86. Then we went from 86 up to 102. We went from 102 to 130, somewhere in here. I don't know exactly where that was, but from 102 to 130, and then we stopped out. I went from 130 down to looks like I missed something. I went from 130 down to 104. It looks like, and then we had to break even, and then went from I went from 130 up to 160. That's what it is, 130 up to 134, and then we stopped out and went down to 109, and then we had a break even, and then we stopped out again and went down to 84. That's what it was. We're at 134 at one point there. We ended up down to 84 after losing 2 in a row, pretty much. And then we had this one right here, where I picked up, went from 84 up to 108. So whatever that is, 24 ticks right there, I think. And I highlighted that in blue because, oh, I know why. It didn't actually hit the midpoint right there. I did it when it pulled back in here. Right? I bought it on, I sold it on the pullback right here. Right, so we were at 108 at that point. Then we picked up 12 ticks there to get us to 120, and 20 ticks there to get us up to 140. 40. I really am having trouble with my R's. All right, excuse me. And that is where we wrapped it up for the NQ in the morning session. Now, during the break, let's see what we had here during the break. We had, right here, we had a short. That would have been okay. Is that coming off a flat spot? I guess it was. Another short there that would have been okay. Not that one, not that one. Not that one. And then we had some long trades. Right there, that would have stopped out. Okay. And now moving over here. We had nothing in there. Nothing in there. This one? Nope. This one, it wasn't really flat there. That didn't reach the midpoint. I think this one right here would have been an okay trade to take that long right there. That didn't reach the midpoint either. That would have been an okay trade to take right there. And that would have been an okay trade to take right there. That probably would have gotten you break even. And then this one right here would have been taken just now. And it's setting up for another trade, but it's going to be too low. It's not going to hit the midpoint. You see, so you're not going to take that one right there. And that was it. So we ended up with 140 ticks on the NQ this morning. Right now, for anybody that's just coming on through YouTube, if you're watching right now on YouTube and just coming on, go to mytradingiq.com to take the free trial. Click on that. There's no credit card required for the free trial. Click on that. When you do, it is going to bring you to this registration page. Just fill out this registration page. Okay, fill out the form, and down at the bottom here, give us your TradingView login ID. Whatever your TradingView login ID is, give it to us there. If you don't have one yet, click on this, go to Trading Platforms, and go out here and watch this video and get a TradingView login ID. Okay? You need to get real-time data. Real-time data is $7 a month. So you need to get real-time data. Okay? All right. So now we can trade again. Right, see if we can get any more trades off anyway. This right here on gold was a trade a few minutes ago. It hasn't really gone anywhere. I'm not going to do anything with it. This up here right now on the YM and up close right there on the YM right now would be a trade. If I can find my DOM, I'm trying to find it. Okay, and up close here on the YM right now would be a trade. So looking for the up close on the YM for the trade. The ES is not a trade here on this down close. There it is on the YM. Wow. What did I do wrong on that? Okay. I'm just going to move my stop to break even, and it just took me out of the trade. All right, it gapped up, and it looked really weird on my DOM. Okay, I just took that, and I just got out of break even. It gapped up, and it looked strange on my DOM. But anyway, we won't even look at that one for right now. All right, this up close, though, is what we're looking for. That up close right there. And let's see. On the ES now, there's nothing there. On the NQ, there's nothing there. So the YM, the YM is nothing now. And it looks like we're going to flip the YBR over here on the NQ and over here on the YM. And on the gold, it looks like all the YBRs are going to get flipped. All right, so let's go out here and take one quick look at this. Now, And this is the daily. This is the MES. Dwayne was looking at the ES, but they're about the same right now. If we get a down close on this bar, we get a close down below the black step line right here. Those of you guys that were in the partners meeting last week, I drew this line here last week and I put an alert on it. I canceled that alert this morning, but I'm going to move this line up to here. Okay, now if price gets back to there, I'll be buying call options. I was saying last week when it got to here, you should consider buying call options. But then it started moving away, and I said, all right, well, we're gonna put another one in here and get ready on this. So what I want to do right here is create an alert for this line. All right. So if price gets down here to this line, then it's going to let me know the BB3 on a daily. That means this has failed, and this has failed all the way back down here to the to the ribbon. But the BB3 is the bottom line of the ribbon. The BBC is the leading edge of the ribbon. We see how it's happened in the past when it's failed down there. You had a little bit of a run, pulls back and tests it again. You have a little bit of run, pulls back and tests it again. A little bit of run, pulls back and tests it again. So I'm actually going to put this up a little bit to like right here, 66.25. Now, to create an alert on this, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can go up here and just hit alert and do it that way. But the easier way to do it is to right click on the actual line and do add alert on horizontal line. And so right here is where you choose how you want it, right? It will say crossing down. You want to know when it's crossing down. And you can do it. You don't want to do it once per bar close because this is a daily. So you want to know when it actually crosses it, right? You want to know when it actually crosses it. So you can do once per bar, but you don't want to do that either. You want to do only once. If you do once per bar close, it's not going to give you an alert until the bar closes at the end of the day. So it could happen, in an hour, and you wouldn't know until 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. If you do once per bar, it'll only do it one time per bar, and that's okay too. Only once and once per bar in this case are about the same. Right, the alert will trigger every time the condition is met, but no more than one time per bar. So only once. It will not be repeated. Once per bar. I guess you go with once per bar, okay? Because you can get triggered when it happens. But if you happen to not catch it when it happens and the next bar triggers it again, in that case, you might want to have crossing and not just crossing down. Because if it triggers going down and you miss it, and then it triggers again going up on the next bar, you can still probably take advantage of it. Okay, so if you do once per bar, set this to crossing. So it lets you know either way. Right? And once per minute, the alert will trigger every time the condition is met, but no more than one time per minute. I just use either once or once per bar in this case. And just hit create. Okay, so now that alert is created, and it's going to be, it should be right up here. Let me see. Oh, it is right up there. It's the MES one right here at the top. All right, now one thing I didn't show you is the notifications. Now my notifications are preset. So it's going to play a little sound in my headset. It's going to send me an email. It's going to show a toast notification. It means it's going to pop up over here. And it's going to buzz on my phone because I have the app running on my phone. I can change the setting on, the message on this. This is the message that it is. But if I want to change what displays up here, then I can say MES 6625 cross. Okay. And there it puts it up there in bold. You see that? MES 6625 cross. Okay. You see that little alarm thing right there? That means it's got an alarm set on it. So now originally I had set it down here because it was at the BB3 and because it was a 50% retracement of this huge move down. This huge move up, sorry. But now that it's shifted, I'm going to place it right here in the middle of the ribbon is where I want to stick it. Okay. If it does happen to bring it all the way down here, that's okay. We'll still look for an opportunity to enter from that point. But I just wanted to point all that out because in the meeting last week is when I set that and it never did the retracement that I was hoping it was going to do. So I'm not saying it's never going to do the retracement. Just get ready for it. That's all. Okay. All right. Now, Here on the ES, we are too far away, I think. 650. Yeah, we're too far away to take the trade there. On the NQ, we just about have a long trade, so look for the up close here on the NQ. That would be a long trade, and up close here on the NQ would be a long trade. Okay, and the YM right now has nothing. The gold has nothing right now. So the NQ is our only play here right now. We need the up close on the NQ. Okay. Still need that up close. That's all we have going. Still need it. Could still happen. Even on this bar, could still happen. Give us that up close and that'd be okay. There it is. Ding ding. We're in it. In it to win it. We need 10 ticks in profit bump this stop to break even. A couple more. Close enough. Stops at break even and well, we'll see where it goes from here. And we're out. All right, so we got to break even on that one. The gold. Well, we need a down close here. We need to move down there. Yeah, nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. We're not going to have, we didn't do the full cycle here on the NQ, so you're not going to have another shot at that. Okay. And now we just have to wait a few minutes. Okay, we need the down close here. This is not a trade here. We've gone full cycle now on the NQ, but it needs to be back in the oversold and come out of it. Okay. And nothing over here on the gold. This was too high to give you the short. We didn't make it into the overbought there. All right, now on YM. If it doesn't go any higher, we could have a trade here. The down close right there on the YM. The down close is what I'm trying to say. It's happening really fast. Give me a second, get the words out. Down close on the YM would be a short right here. That's the only trade we have right now. And there it is. Here it is. See where that goes. They need 5 ticks in profit to bump the stop to break even. 5 ticks in profit. It's got to get down here to 3. Still waiting. Almost. One more tick. Did it make it to 3? No, it went down to 4. Almost have a trade over here on the NQ. Almost have a trade here on the ES. I was afraid that was going to happen. So the low on this was 4. Bring that down back up. Window on top. There it goes. All right, let's lock in just one tick on this, cover the costs. Now, should go down to 463 right here. 63. 53. Put a target down there at 63. 15 ticks if it gets down there. Okay, so we'll let it go. See what happens. Yes, I will fix that noise. All right. There's not going to be a trade over here on the NQ. It's pulled back too far. And this one, we're going to lock in 5 now. Okay. And we're out with the 5. I was worried to make that happen. All right, we could have a trade here on gold now. We just need the down close on gold. It's got a high of 55.3, CP sell 54.3. Now it's a little bit higher, so he's selling a little bit higher. 55.5 down to 54.5. That's not a trade over here on the NQ. It wasn't high enough. This is actually a trade here on the ES. As ugly as it is a trade there on the ES. The gold closed up and not down. 6.2. It'd still be a trade there on the gold. The down close on the gold would still be a trade. Oh no, it wasn't. It wasn't a valid trade. Sorry, it was above the midpoint. It's not a valid trade. Okay, I'm gonna take that off right now. The ES was a valid trade, however. It's my ES trade. Okay. This will be the last trade because it is time. But hopefully we'll get our stop to break even on this guy and then manage it from there. It's all jammed up in here right now. You see how the range is really tight in there. So it's going to make a significant move one way or the other. Come on, get down there. There we go. Almost there. One more tick. One more tick. There it goes. Okay, so now my stops are break even. I'm going to lock in 4 ticks on this. There we are. We're out with 4. All right. Well, that's where we're going to wrap it up. So if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, you go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for that trial. Just go to the purple button and click on that. And it'll bring you to this registration page where all we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Give us all that information. Gives you TradingView login ID down at the bottom, and we'll be able to get your indicators indicating for you during your trial. All right. Today, we surpassed $200,000 per contract today on the year. We ended up plus 1,022 with one contract this morning. And we are now with one contract at $200,457 on the year. All right, that is it. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. The game is ready. Right
yep. Okay, recap with a recap of the morning session.
Today it took 5 minutes and one trade to get to $1,750.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, we covered each and every market in granular fashion, as we always do. In about 45 minutes, you can go to youtube.com/CFRN, and you can watch today's broadcast in its entirety. As you can see, we hit red and falling. We talked about this on Friday as we closed right up against the step line. So we opened above it last night, ran right up. Now, we still had blue up here on Friday, but we said that Sunday night that if we closed below the step line Friday, that when the markets opened Sunday night, we should have red and falling. And we did. We ran right up to it. But now we're just about at the low of the day or support. So you can see Thursday, the black step line was good resistance. Friday, it was good resistance. But now the Monday session, which began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we ran all the way up and all the way back down. And the president is speaking at 3 p.m. today regarding, I think, the government shutdown that is looming large. You know, while we have this funding circus year after year, I don't understand, but hey, I guess that's why I'm not the president. So we'll see how we close today, and then we'll be able to get a read on what we should see the rest of the week. To become a member, email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Just tell her you want to become a member, and she'll send you the information you need to get signed up. Once you're all signed up, she will then send you quite a bit of information. Some of it you won't even know what to do with. I'm going to tell you. In your email client, whatever email client you use, create a folder, and all the emails she sends you, just put them in that folder. As your learning journey begins, and you need the various things she sent you, you'll know right where they are. Once you become a member or a passport holder, you'll have access to 2 hours of live training every trading day. It's an interactive environment. On top of the 2 hours of live training every day, you'll also have access to private one-on-one mentoring. All you got to do is ask. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, it doesn't really matter because price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. It's just how markets work. As a passport holder, you'll get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock, even if you're unable to trade them because you're not at your computer when it triggers. The real purpose of the Logic alerts is to teach you how to read the chart, so you know where to anticipate support, where to anticipate resistance. The evidence is in our Logic 247 alerts. Over the last 7+ years and over 20,500 individual handcrafted alerts. On a weekly basis, we've averaged 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. So the Logic 247 alerts, those are going to teach you how to read the chart if you use them properly, whether you trade them or not. And once you learn how to read the chart, you've got something no one can ever take away from you. And once you understand how to read the chart, then you're ready to learn how to trade. As a passport holder, you'll also get the concierge trade alerts, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open each evening, 5:55 p.m. Eastern. You get the weekly trading zones every Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Every Thursday afternoon, you'll get an invitation to attend the members-only workshop Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And you'll get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. It all starts when you email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. That's going to get you everything a trader needs, all under one roof, at one low price. Okay, let's wrap it up with our good word for the day. Get back up and keep going. 2 Corinthians 4:9. We get knocked down, but we get up again and keep going. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania tell us that a key predictor of success isn't talent, title, wealth, or good looks. It's the ability to work hard for a prolonged period of time towards a focused goal, to keep moving forward despite challenges, obstacles, and failures. Paul writes, "We are pressed on every side by troubles, but not crushed and broken. We are perplexed because we don't know why things happen as they do. But we don't give up and quit. We are hunted down, but God never abandons us. We get knocked down, but we get up again and keep going." Here are some famous people who got knocked down, but kept on going. A memo issued after Fred Astaire's first screen test said, "Can't act, slightly bald, can dance a little." Walt Disney was fired by a newspaper editor for a lack of ideas. He also went bankrupt several times before he built Disneyland. Albert Einstein didn't speak until he was 4, didn't write until he was 7. His teacher described him as mentally slow, unsociable, and adrift forever in foolish dreams. F.W. Woolworth's employers at the dry goods store said he hadn't enough sense to wait on customers. Winston Churchill failed junior high school. He didn't become the Prime Minister of Great Britain until he was 66, after a lifetime of defeats and setbacks. He made his greatest contribution as a senior citizen. Abraham Lincoln once said, "Bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other." So, when life knocks you down, get back up and keep going. That's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.